Hey, Gina, you there?
Good morning.
Morning. All right. Where do we start? Screen share?
Yes, please.
All right. Should I just open up Lone Wolf while I'm at it too?
Yes, please. Did you have high octane coffee this morning? Are you like raring to
Why?
go?
Am I jumpy or what? Oh wait, are you East Coast, different time zone?
I am East Coast.
Okay, all right. Yeah, maybe I am just too jumpy.
So I have had an hour to get some coffee in, but I've also had a meeting. So what am I sitting at, half full?
Well, my wife had to bring the daughter to the orthodontist, so I was up early with the kids. So that's my excuse. Oh shit.
Excellent. My kids are. You're in the wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, my kids are too old for all that now. They're all moved out.
I say I can't wait for it, but I'm told I shouldn't say that because then you start wishing they were young again.
I don't.
That's your honesty. Nah, it's fun. It's good.
If you probably ask my mom's probably on the same boat. Yeah.
Well,
look at this. The licenses come up. That's cool.
Beautiful.
We just didn't put, I think, the expiration date because they expire all at the same time, so that would have been hell.
Yeah. That's
very smart. My girls were like, "Are you gonna cry when I move out?" And I'm like, "That was the end game. I didn't expect you to live here forever. I did my job and off you go." So.
Yeah.
Anyway. Have we played in the system any?
John did.
I started to. I apologize. I've been a little bit swamped with stuff, so I haven't finished the full bringing over of the splits for everyone. I'm hoping to have that done in between today and Monday. So for our next meeting, I'll have that homework done. I just want to see if there's any other homework that I can get a head up going on before we start importing numbers and stuff.
And I do see something that I need to deal with. Thomas, do you have a logo on your desktop? I said I do see something I have to deal with. Tom, do you have a logo on your desktop?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do that right now because some of our reports, and this is an us challenge, not a you, but by seeing this blank here, it tells me that it's going to mess up and not print some reports if we don't deal with it.
Okay.
So we're going to, now the logo needs to be one of these three formats. Is that?
Yeah, we got it. I'm going to take over?
Absolutely. Nope, not this PC. I think you were where you were supposed to be. TS client. Now you're going to go with C.
Okay.
Users. Whatever name, probably Tom, yep. Now you should be able to go from there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully our Dropbox will get, nope, that's Tom.
No, it's not going to go to Dropbox.
Well, I have it on my hard drive, most of it, so.
Okay, yeah, because we're not able to go server to cloud.
Right. These are all my folders, I know.
So these are, I enjoyed
Got some music there if you guys want. Okay.
Nickelback?
No Nickelback. Gina, what do you think of Nickelback?
I don't mind them.
Oh,
yes, there we go.
We're no longer friends.
So there's like a hard divide in the office. The staff doesn't like if it goes on the radio. If it's on the radio, we're not going to skip it. But it seems all the agents absolutely despise Nickelback.
What did Nickelback ever do? Like
they existed. Pretty sure it's this one. Let's see. I usually use a PNG. That's why.
Yeah, we don't like PNGs. We're not Big Mac people. We'll talk to you nice, but that's about it.
All right, is that good, or should I get one that's closer? Good. Okay.
So then we're gonna store.
All right, all you.
And it would have told me if it was not gonna work. So the next
Okay.
time you log in, the logo will be down here. If we decide to run any report today that has a problem, we'll just log out and back in.
Okay.
But that, I wanted to have that done first so that it was not going to cause us trouble. And you're dot loop now, but you've decided, you just haven't told anybody here yet that you're going to take transaction desk, right? Or Zip?
No, we definitely, yeah, we're still dot loop.
Still dot loop. Okay, so I have 2 clients that are dot loop, and I think you're both Remax.
Yeah.
One client said, but we're going to come over to you, and you're the other client. Okay. I will not keep that straight. I will ask you that more than once, but
Okay.
we'll carry on from there. So then we need to put transactions in manually then.
Doesn't it feed from the MLS?
You might have an MLS feed for your listings, but not transactions.
I thought there was supposed to be like a client that they were building that pulls that, because on our sales call, forget who it was that we were communicating with, she had stated that there was a very large Remax, I think in Utah or out west, that it was over 1,000 agents and they used only dot loop. And for that reason, they had built something that would pull the stuff over in from dot loop.
Come on.
I am asking.
Yeah, and the MLS is, I mean, our agency does show up on these buy side deals, so be curious to know if a fee can be done with that.
But then what if it's outside of our normal MLS, use Flex?
We could just make a rule that everyone has to put in Flex no matter what.
Is there like a fee for that, or
For what?
it's for everyone? Like, because I know some people put it on like Garden State, and there's a fee for that. But to have it on Flex, is there a fee?
No.
Okay. Just want to see what the adoption rate
Because
is.
I think at one point we may have synced with dot loop, and I don't think we do anymore. But I don't know about that. Somebody, Remax, having created it. So I've just put that out to our enterprise people who deal with the bigger clients to see if they know what that person was talking about. Because if that's the case, they haven't told me.
I think it's like a client-based thing where it kind of like converts a file.
We have.
That's how she described it.
Okay, so legacy clients are using a dot loop connection because, like I said, we did at one point connect with dot loop, but we don't anymore. My manager is saying that she's not been aware that we are setting that connection up with any new clients. So your salesperson told you that though?
Yeah.
And let's see who the lovely person was. It may know something I don't know.
I'll try to find her name.
Monica.
Monica?
Yep, Monica Boutsis.
Yep.
Yep, there you go.
That's the one. So I guess here's the question. If it doesn't go through, will it pull over? Because it's about a 50-50 split between listings and buy side, so it'll be importing a lot of new transactions. Is there any way we could import them from a buy side from the MLS if we all have them on one centralized MLS?
Okay, so, and I do see that you have the MLS integration.
Yes.
So that's good. That should pull, and we'll see if it's actually up yet. Not yet. So what will happen is in 1.1, you'll get all of your listings. If you don't own the listing, it won't pull through.
Ugh.
See, and I just harshed that coffee buzz, didn't I?
That's half of our transactions. That sucks.
Yep.
And you're finding out about this other Utah company thing or whoever?
Well, my manager is going to find out what exactly Monica was promising you. So we're going to find out what, like what the plan was, so that we can either do it the way that it was considered, or give you a realistic view of what can or cannot happen.
And your feeds from the MLSs, are they IDX based? Are they direct feeds?
Now you'd need a programmer for that. I just know that it pulls from the MLS.
Right. Okay.
But and I do know that the permissions that we have, because different MLS boards are more or less sticky about the data they'll give us. And it's always only the data that you own. So it can't pull a listing through that you don't own. That much I can tell you right off the bat. I don't need to talk to anybody about that. You have to own the MLS listing for us to be allowed to pull it.
Yeah, it's weird because Dotloop does that. Dotloop pulls over listings that we don't own when we're on the buy side.
Well, if I know in our front office program, so in our transaction desk program, it will pull the information from the MLS for a listing you're on the buy side for. So when you're filling out, so zip forms or transaction desk, when you're filling the forms out and such, it will pull that information from the MLS. But this being the accounting program will only pull what you own. So I know our front office, our transactions, and we have 2 transaction programs. Both of them will sync to the MLS the same as Dotloop does. So if you own the listing, it's a full back and forth. If you've bought the listing, it'll just pull the relevant information for you.
And when that happens, it also feeds to Lone Wolf because you're using transaction desk?
Correct. So it does, and now, to be fair, and I told you right from the start, I will always be straight with you. Going that route does not pull the listings into back office. It will only pull it into back office when there's a deal on the listing.
Versus right now, they pull in listings?
Right now, you have it that the MLS is going to feed the listings into back office. You're going to have to manually enter the transaction information.
For listing sales and buy side sales?
Yes.
When you say the information, you mean just like sale price, commission rate, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So all this information is going to come. So if we actually, this information on your listings will come from MLS. Okay. So all the details, the street name, what your list price is, all of that will come into your back office program from the MLS.
Right.
Now, so now you've got a listing and somebody has bought it. In our world, that's a separate entity. There's a listing and then there's a transaction. A transaction only happens when there's a deal on a listing. If you had a listing in the program that was purchased, it would have said at one point, was this a listing? And you'd say yes. And then anything that was in the listing, so the street number, maybe the type, that type of information, the seller's name, that would come from your listing. So you would automatically get that filled out. But all the rest of this, like the dates and the price and all that, you're going to have to manually fill that out.
I apologize. Can we just go through an example of like one just from beginning to end, sort of what would have to be put in? I apologize. I just
Yep.
want to try and take notes.
Is that what's on the docket for today or what?
It is now.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you know what we're doing and that what you have is what you want before I start teaching you stuff that you don't want. So if going through the whole listing and transaction process is going to make it clear to you what you have and what you need, then that's exactly what we're going to do today. But what I want you to do is put your password in and click on training for me, please. John, you're not in the program, are you?
No, I don't have my computer here.
Perfect.
We're in a meeting room right now.
Perfect. Say yes. So we're going to take a copy of your live data and we're going to open it in the sandbox.
How
When
much
you
is
take-
sorry, I know this might not be your question, but how much is Transaction Desk if we didn't even use any of the signing privileges and stuff? Do you know any of that?
You're right. I have no idea on that.
I'm gonna go back to this one. Because if not, then if we don't use that, would it be dot loop until it's absolutely approved? We have to check, we're holding the check till everything's approved, then I create the deal in the system, pay it out, but then we won't see fall through rate. That's the problem.
Yeah, the whole benefit for this was to be fed from the MLS, which is a lot more accurate than dot loop. That's why I was excited. But again, so you say you message your manager, you're just waiting to hear back from him about that dot loop feed?
Right. So she's going to reach out to Monica.
Okay.
What she's reaching out for is to see if we can get you, like, if we can sneak you in on that dot loop connection.
Right.
If we can do that, then your life is a lot easier. If we can't, then it will be worth talking to Monica to see what other options you have if dot loop isn't going to work.
Yeah, how are we gonna see
Because I
fall?
want you to, you're going to need to log in again, please. Log into your regular data, please. I have to fix that challenge.
Am I hitting training or?
Nope. Your password and then OK for me, please.
Okay.
So those of us who are above a certain age, remember that computers needed to be defragged on a regular basis. That's what this reindex is. So I'm just going to do that, and it's going to put everything back to rights and let us into training mode. I know it says not responding. If we're patient, it'll come back again.
Yeah, I'm hoping just to see kind of the process from beginning to end, how we're paying these agents out. If we're doing referrals to anyone, I just kind of want to take notes on that. Also, is there like a set number of classes? I know you mentioned like 10 classes. Is that like the maximum number of classes, like meetings we can have? Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I apologize. I know you had mentioned like 10 to 12 classes, like meetings like this. Is that the maximum that we're allowed to have per contract, or?
No, we don't have a set. You're talking about the training sessions?
Yeah,
Yeah, we train until we think you're done.
okay.
So I'm going to get you to put the password in again and click training. When it comes up, I want you to click refresh for me, please.
So do hit training right now.
Yep.
Refresh.
Refresh and then yes.
Okay.
And if all's good, it will do exactly what we want it to.
Night the rock.
Every time I hear the song, that's where my mind goes.
What is love? Is that on
Yeah.
there? Yeah, it's good. Whoa, going green.
Yep, that's how you know you're in training mode.
Okay.
So the good news is anything you do in training mode stays in training mode. It doesn't affect your live data. The bad news is that really funky fee you just worked out that actually worked now has to be done again in your live data. So it's a good place to come in and play around and check the processes, John, and such. But you do have to remember that if there's something you want to be reflected in your live data, you have to go back and do it there too. So I'm going to start with the listing, and this is why I want to be in training mode. I want you to see how they communicate with each other. So anything I'm putting in this menu will pull from your MLS as soon as the MLS sync is up and running. I'm going to put this in manually because you're going to want to know where the information sits. And if you ever have like a pocket listing or an exclusive listing that's not hitting the MLS, you're going to need to know how to put it in the program as well. Now, I'm pretty sure that with your MLS board, you've got some sort of a program to track your showings and your phone calls and such, right?
Yeah, we use showing time.
Perfect. So that means that anything beyond this details tab is really irrelevant now. We were the first program that did that gave the admin staff a chance to track showings and phone calls and such. And it was wonderful and they loved us for it. And then the boards came up with better programs and we said, that's fine. You guys can have that. We don't need it. So, because our concentration is really on the transactions.
Sorry, quick question. So you said in order for it to pull from the feed, we have to actually add a line item here.
You're going to have to move closer to the mic, John. I can only hear half what you say. Sorry.
Sorry about that. So is my understanding in order for it to feed over from the MLS system, you have to add a line item with the address information for it to pull over?
No, it should sync automatically once it's just not up and running yet. I'm going to see what's taking the time on that as well.
Okay.
So you should be able to just open your 1.1 menu and see all your listings. So there will be nothing manual for you unless it's an exclusive listing that's not hitting the MLS. And I don't know if your board allows pocket listings or not, but.
Yeah, but it's getting less and less prevalent because of the restrictive rules now.
Yeah. So we're going to go through it manually just so you can see where everything sits, okay? So we're going to put the street name. Nope. Seller name and the agent will be added on the people tab. You can put the percentage of commission that you're offering on this in this section as well. You do not have to. So what you have to have for a listing is an address, the dates, the list price, and the type.
Now,
But the rest of it is not.
do you have a place for the MLS fee that everyone starts to charge?
The MLS number will come in here once your feed is coming through. So like I said, none of this is anything that you're going to be doing manually.
No, what I mean is sometimes there's a minus $100 on each side of the commission or plus 100.
That might come up on the details.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, one more question. So
Yeah.
what you're going through right now, would this be, although we're doing it as if it was a listing, if it was a buy side, we would have to do the same exact thing we're doing here now, correct?
You would not, no, because if you bought the listing, then you don't, if you brought the buyer to the listing, you don't own that listing. So you're not going to put it in here. This is only listings that you own.
Okay.
So this would be some other type of entry. Like a buy side would be some other fields or some other-
Correct. They would be, it would be in the transactions menu,
Okay.
right? And I'll point that out when we're looking at it, okay? Okay, so the listing date, sorry, there was some chatter about the dot loop, and I wanted to see if it was relevant, and it wasn't. The listing date does not have to be the same as the entry date. Now, again, since you're pulling directly, it will be, but if you, again, had a pocket listing that you had signed yesterday and you're just putting the information in today, it doesn't have to be the same date. Anything that you see in this gray field, you can't change it anyway. It's all system generated.
Yeah, it doesn't let you click it.
Right, and the expiry date is the expiry date. The sold date will come through from the transaction.
How
Then the
often is this feed updated? Is it daily?
every 10 minutes, I think.
That's good.
Now the rest of this information, when I'm teaching my clients the manual process, we don't worry about this because you're tracking signs and open houses and such through showing time. Right, so if you were doing this manually, then you wouldn't need to, and you wouldn't bother with it. Any of this information that's in the listing on your board will come through on the sync.
I mean, we're not tracking sign. So this could be-
The people, so this is going to be the seller. I'm going to add. If this was a rental or a commercial listing, you could change the address. It's going to default to the listing address, but it doesn't have to. Again, and also if it's a commercial, you can change this to corporation. And then it becomes contact and company instead of first and last.
And now, once the person is entered, does it keep it as in the database for future, like if we're selling them another property?
Absolutely.
Cool.
And then we're going to add an agent. Steven's going to get picked on a lot because he's at the top of the list.
He should be. He's a jerk.
This expense percentage, just because I know you'll notice it and wonder what it's about. At some point in the history, because remember, we've been around since the late 80s. Some point along the way, brokers had decided to direct bill listing expenses to their agents. So if a sign went up, if a flyer was created, that type of thing. And in some cases, the agent and the brokerage would split that percentage. So it would be maybe the agent had to pay 60% of the charge for brochures. That's the only thing that this is about. Nowadays, I find I've had one in the last 5 years. I've had one person ask me how to do this. I find that most often what brokers are doing is just charging flat monthly fees or recouping the money in the split fee.
Yeah, we normally invoice them if it's anything like that. But can I ask just one quick question?
Yep.
That office number, that's my personal cell phone number. I'm just wondering where that imported from. And if every agent has that.
Yes, and that will fix. Let me save this so I can get out, and I'll show you where to change it. The last tab is here. This details tab will all pull through from the details of the listing. Now, the number is either going to be here in E11. Is that your number?
Yeah, that's my personal number.
Okay, so when you're back in your live data in E11, you're going to want to change that
Got it.
because it's going to go on anything that shows the office information.
Yeah, that might be an interesting thing.
Yeah, you might have fun with that. You'll meet a lot of new people.
Yeah, and I might throw my phone into the lake.
They don't swim, you know that, right?
I plan for it to sink to the bottom and just keep ringing. I want nothing to do with it at that point. Because if we have 100 and something agents, and for every agent, every single deal, they're buzzing me, oh, that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, I can see that. And then that would just be whatever number the sales, well, Monica, that's going to be the number Monica thought was the office number.
Okay.
That's okay. We can change that. And do you want me to, so my profile on Remax Revolution has the phone number as 392-2285. What is the office number?
So the 392-2285 is our number. Let me just get a business card real quick, because I don't know the business's number off the top of my head.
Is that the private phone number, the 2285?
So it looks like apologize. So it looks like our office number starts 732-410-7100. And then some agents have an extension.
732-410-7100.
Yes.
Okay. So I've put that on the company page of the profile that we have.
Okay.
And then for both of you, I've got the phone number as that 973-392-2285 under your personal profiles.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we'll have to try and remember to fix that in the live data.
Yeah, I put it on my to-do.
Perfect. I'm also put on your to-do also to check the E3 data.
I'm sorry, one more time?
You want to check the data that's in E3 as well. So E3 is is the individual office, and it may have the same number.
Got it.
And I'm not sure if once you've changed it in E11, it might flow through to here, but I doubt it. So I would change it in both places. All right, so we have a listing. It's pulled through from the MLS. You haven't had to do anything except make sure it's there and check the information. Because all of your agents putting all of that information, you don't want to be doing it manually. This part from here on out is the manual part. So unless we can get some sort of sync between either .loop or convince you to go with us, which we would really love, this part here is the manual part. So once somebody has brought a buyer to your listing, or you've brought a buyer to somebody else's listing, in our program, that becomes a transaction, and it's a completely different entity. So I'm going into 2.1 and I'm going to click add. And the first thing it's going to ask is the transaction number. I'm just going to accept the number. Because we have a listing in, it's going to say, is it from a listing? So if I own the listing, then I can say yes. If you don't own the listing, you would say no. So I'm going to say yes, because we're going to pull this listing through. So what you have to realize is if you had said no to that question, all of this is blank. And you just have to fill out all the information.
Now, you have to do this no matter what sale it is. Even if it's our listing, it doesn't feed from the MLS when we go under contracts.
It'll
Correct.
feed part, but it won't feed this part. Like you'll have to go in and add the buy side. So if we have a dual agent.
So we can't get a pending, we have to literally, pending reports aren't gonna work in here because there's no feed when it goes pending.
Unless you do unless you put a transaction on it. I'm not getting a lot of warm fuzzies back.
I know, it just sucks. I thought this would save a lot of time, but so
It
far.
It does when we have the link. And I'm not trying to sell you on our lake. I really do hope that Julie is able to sort something out to get kind of a grandfathered in dot loop connection. Because if that's the case, then none of this is manual. But even with the setup that you have right now, this is the most information that will come into this particular menu, and the rest is all going to be manually entered.
Okay.
Now, if you've got a listing and we've pulled it in, we do have, it is going to link. So if you needed to get any more information, you can link back to your listing, which I know, woohoo. The offer date will be whatever date. Now, and I know in the States, there are a lot of different definitions for offer date. For us here in Ontario, which is where the program was built, as soon as we have a signed and accepted offer, it becomes a transaction. Even before the finance is cleared, before any escrow is done, we don't have escrow. As soon as the buyer and the seller have agreed on the offer, that's our date. And it's a legal and binding date for us. Whatever this means to you is what you can use in the offer date. So if you don't have contingencies that come through, and by that I mean this type of thing, this finance inspection, radon testing, anything like that that you would have, if you don't track those, if you don't see it as a viable transaction until those conditions and contingencies are cleared, then you don't have to track them in our program either. But we're going to talk about that in a second. So our firm date will default to our offer date, but we can play with that if we needed to track the conditions. Do you need to track your conditions?
Right now, no. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going.
It's done in dot loop,
It's
right?
going. If we would literally have to hire someone with as many transactions as we do to keep this up to date.
So
So we did add contingencies. Do different fields pop up?
you're able to track whether or not they've been met. But again, that's something that without a sync, you're going to have to manually put in that they've each been met. So what I'm hearing and what I'm guessing is that you're not going to be at all able to use our program if we don't link it to something.
Well, if we used it, it's going to have to be a lot more time in our hands, obviously.
Right. What I meant was that our program isn't going to save you any time right now, the way it stands.
I mean, so far, yeah, we'll see once we get through to the accounting backside, which is apparently what's going to be the most beneficial, right?
Right.
So,
Okay. And it also, because it might be worth, I know we're reaching out on our side, but you might, if you still have Monica's email address, maybe drop her an email and talk to her again, just to see what she suggests after you've been in and actually seen the program.
right.
Because I will be surprised if we are able to set up a dot loop sync. I'll be honest with you. Given your size, we probably can swing it, but I'm going to be surprised if we do. And it's not necessarily our side. Dot loop didn't like us and they took their toys and went home. That's why we don't sync with them anymore. There was a falling out. But I didn't say that on my recording.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh.
So that's why I'm a little cagey about trying to promise you that we can do this.
All right, I mean, yeah, what can we do right now? Guess we'll just keep on.
Okay, so let me go through what a transaction looks like, because that was on the schedule today anyway. And then we will, I'll reach out to you and let you know as soon as anybody tells me anything. And if you hear anything, let me know as well, and we'll work on getting the right programs together for you, okay?
All right,
Does that sound like a good way to proceed?
yeah, let's do it.
Excellent. So closing date is closing date, right? It's the same almost everywhere. It's the date of completion.
Right now. it's
Sale
only-
price, what you got for the property. Classification is what you represented. So does your board still allow the same agent on both sides?
Yes,
Perfect. So that's what we're gonna do.
so those classifications, can we add anything or those are set? right?
Absolutely. No, we can completely add, move, whatever. We can make that whatever you need it to be.
Okay,
Okay. If you had a contingency, so let's say we had a financing, do you call them contingencies or do you call them conditions?
yeah, contingencies.
Okay. And we maybe gave them 10 days to get their financing in order. Now firm says no, and the firm date is the date that the contingency is due. And we can't change that now. Now we have to work down here. So we can either put a check mark in here and that puts today's date in, or if we click edit, we can do whatever date we actually got the notice of fulfillment. Without a sync, that is a manual process. On the People's tab, you can see that Charles came through. If we needed to add more people, we can. And this list is also something that can be edited to include more. This is anybody who is a part of the transaction who is not being paid from the commission of the transaction. So no outside brokers, no outside referrals, and none of your agents would be on this tab. But you can add it to include home stagers, home inspectors, pest control, anybody you want to track, you can put here. Okay, so if I was going to put, say, the buyer in, then I would be able to fill this information out.
On the screen, when we want to track our title companies and stuff, just to make sure you see what business is coming from.
Once
We are also able to track how often you've dealt with each individual contact, so that you can see that you had 5 deals with this home inspector and 10 deals with that, so that it will help facilitate some relationship building.
All right, I'm sorry, which tab is this on again? The people tab or?
This is the people tab.
All right.
Okay, the outside brokers tab. And we're always looking for that add button. Because we represented both the buyer and the seller in this, we do not have an outside broker. If you did, do you generally pay your outside brokers or do they get paid at the table?
No, we pay them.
No, they get paid at the table.
When they get, if they get paid at the table, are you responsible for telling the company to pay them?
No, we only pay outside brokers when there's a referral. When
Okay,
we have a commission, we process it, but yeah, typical co-brokes, no, each company gets a check.
and each company is responsible for providing their own information?
Yes,
Perfect. So you're only going to really track an outside broker if you're paying them, or if you want to track which brokerages you've been working with. So some companies, some of my clients do that for recruiting purposes and also possible relationship building.
we
If that's
can't, we can't feed in a contact list of agents, can we, or no? When I say, feed, I'm sorry, like upload a CSV.
I think so. I would have to go out into that menu,
All right, just curious.
but we'll take a look. A lot of our menus do have import features.
We do have them all too.
Yeah, I could pull all those reports. Oh, that's great. That'd save me so much
Yeah,
time.
if we could be able to do like the title agencies we use, the mortgage companies, attorneys, that'd be cool.
Even outside broker, like if we can do, I don't know, we haven't gotten to the referral screen, like, but we have a lot of companies that we do business with consistently, like Zillow, etc. Fast Experts is another one.
Right.
Right there.
All right, cool.
Does it have to be within a certain like import file style like the other one?
Yep. So you would go into I22. Anytime you see this import button, click it and click print, and it gives you what the format has to be.
Oh, nice. So I'm noticing they're not showing the type of person it is, meaning like outside broker, title company, attorney, does that?
That, we might find that under this one. So I21 is by company, so I think that's gonna ask for type.
Okay.
Right, so type is first.
Employee name, there you go. Okay.
So we're gonna put it then in this one.
So yeah,
right?
you're gonna want I21, sorry. Did you want this printed out or saved or anything?
I'm just gonna take a quick picture.
Sure.
Okay, got it.
Now, the one thing that, well, one of the things we do really well is when you look at that picture and you don't remember what menu I took you to, it's always on the reports.
Okay.
Our menu is always referenced. So I21. Now, once you have those in, all you're going to need to do then is click the magnifying glass and find who you're looking for. So if you're say no here for pay broker, then you can track who you're working with without having them be part of the accounting of the transaction.
Okay.
If it's an outside referral, it's on the same menu. The system knows the difference that an outside broker gets a percentage of the sale price where an outside referral gets percentage of one side's commission. So I'm going to put one in just so we can see how it works.
Pay broker just get folded together. Now, I noticed it says 1099 no, but we would 1099 this outside.
Yep, so you would be able to change it.
I guess another question, does Lone Wolf at all store W9s?
W9s, you might be able to add it to the, so if I take a look, it doesn't have a spot to store.
Is there file storage from within here?
In some places there is, yes. So there are documents that you can add to a transaction.
Gotcha.
There's documents you can add to an agent. I thought
Otherwise,
there-
this is another pitch for transaction desk or room.
Yeah.
no, because we were originally able, like this is the OG right here, right? So we were able to store all that information before transaction desk came along.
Right.
Yeah, I was just curious if there's any way to store it, because we have a lot of companies we use, and a lot of times I've been saving them on my desktop, but I don't know if that's the best way of storing them.
No.
And it doesn't seem like we can store things onto particular contacts. So and that's what the W9 is, right? It's the information for the contact.
Yeah, we're supposed to keep it on file for all the businesses we do any level of business with.
Oh, right.
All that, we're supposed to keep it stored.
And
Yeah.
I know when you're putting your vendors in, you can. Right? So you could upload it here.
That's good.
And then in the details here, it does say whether or not you have a W9 on file. So this is for those people like your rent, your office supplies, things like that. So it's only the outside brokers that we don't have a place to put the W9s. So an outside referral, you would generally pay them, yes?
Yeah.
So all the funds come into the office and you actually cut them a check. So that's what the yes, we pay stands for. No, we don't pay. I've already told you if it's somebody that you're just tracking. If you are responsible for telling the closing company, whether it's title or closing attorney or whatever you've got, if you're responsible for telling that company to pay this person, then you would say paid by escrow. That would include them on any commission disbursement authorization so that you can cover yourself and make sure that they get paid. So we're going to keep the yes, we pay on this one. Do you ever hold earnest money?
Yeah, limited amount of times, maybe a few times a year.
Okay, so we're going to add some earnest money here. Right, so you're just going to put in the information. It's self-explanatory. If you're holding it, you're going to say yes. If you need to track the earnest money and you're not holding it, you can absolutely say we hold no, and then it'll ask you who is. So it's up to the level of tracking you need to do. If you don't need to know who is holding the deposit, then you just leave this part blank. Commissions. Now this came through from the listing. If this had been something, a purchase of somebody else's listing, then it would come through, it would look like this, and you would be able to add that information. So we're going to give the commission on either side, because remember, we're representing both sides. If we were only dealing with one side's commission, we would only put whatever side we were responsible for or we were dealing with. So if you had the buyer for somebody else's listing, you would leave the listing side as zeros. If it's a different amount, so maybe during the negotiating, one side decided to do a flat rate, you can put a flat rate in as well. The system will figure out the percentage.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to ask that because on the listing side, there's always going to be a plus fee 99% of the time, unless it's obviously in-house, then there's no MLS fee. But that, yeah, that.
Yeah, but that's what this part is, isn't it? This admin fee?
No, it's not really an admin fee. It's just an MLS fee that's charged outside. So if it's an internal deal, like both agents are Remax Revolution agents, they can't charge an MLS fee to each other. It's just a flat fee both ways, whatever percentage they agree to. But let's say we have the listing agent here and the buying agent is Remax Bayhead or whatever. There's a plus fee that our agent gets as the listing agent, I think, to cover the MLS listing.
Yeah, it's a zero sum fee, so it takes from one and gives to the other.
And is this over and above the commission though?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna need to sort that part out.
Okay.
And that's what this type of admin fee will do. So it'll bring it in. And then if I add, so this will keep it in the office instead of giving it to the agents.
No, it goes to it's just added to the gross commission.
Yeah, it is. It's the agent's
So
money.
No, it does go to the agent? Okay, perfect.
So it goes to the gross commission.
Yeah.
And then we apply splits and everything.
Okay.
So an example, if you could open up that commission line that you were updating with the 2.5. So like 2.5 is 8,125, but if there's an MLS plus MLS fee, we would have to make that, let's say 8,225 plus 100.
So you can actually split that out. So what did you said it was going to be $100?
Yeah, sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 150. It all depends on how they negotiate the deal
Okay.
or what they put on their MLS page.
So what we would do is we would put it, because it's over and above the commission, we would book it separately. just so that you can see what the actual commission was and then what this fee was. It will all combine for the agent. You'll see that on the next tab.
So, all right, so real quick, because since we are recording both the listing and the selling side, let's say we're on the listing, we get the 82.25. The other side's gonna get 79.25. So is on that fee screen that you just were at, can the fees be minus or plus or no?
So this one you said would be minus 100.
Right, exactly. Is that calculated still? You guys,
Let's find out.
okay. There it is, good.
Yeah.
I've never had this fee been asked to be a minus, so. And that's the way to approach the program as well. If you're not sure if it does it, try it. It's not going to blow up.
Sounds
So
good.
I put the referral in. So now you can see if we follow this line down, the actual base commission has been completely changed because it's added the 100 and it subtracted the 2031. Now on the agent info, and I'm going to try and do this quickly. We may, let me see what I have before I promise you extra minutes. I do have a few extra minutes to finish this up. So because we have the agent came through from the listing, again, if you didn't have the listing, you would just add the agent, but this is only on the listing side. So we do actually have to add this agent on the selling side as well. That's because you have some fees that you can have fees that go towards the selling side and fees that go towards the listing side. So if you have an agent on both sides, you would just put them in twice. We're also going to say that this agent split this side with another agent. So there's a second agent on the deal. That's your internal referrals, your internal teams, anything like that where two agents are splitting the commission on one side. The percentage, and it could be more than two. You can have 100 agents each getting 1%. This percentage represents how much of the side does that agent represent. So it's not how much of the company dollar, it's the representation. You can change the side count as well. Now, because you're Remax and you have awards, if the lead agent was getting the full amount for the awards, even though not getting the full amount for, and I need to find that amount again, not getting the full amount as a payout. Let me just, come on, there we go. You can change the award to be something different. So I know that some of your end of the year rewards calculations are based on award amount as opposed to commission amount. The award amount here is independent of the commission amount.
Okay, so that side count right there where it says 0.5, that's only changed if there's two agents on one side?
Right. So when you, and when I click OK on this, when you're doing a transaction, this column has to add up to the number of sides you're representing. So in this case, it should add up to 2. So we know we're missing something. And this is either 100 or 200%, depending on how many sides. So we do have to, and if I tried to store, it's going to tell me I'm not done.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So then we add another agent in. Now, because I gave that other agent the full award amount, I can change this agent to 0. You can continue to change if you have more than 2. Okay, and then we've got, I don't see any splits, but that's probably because we haven't done them yet, right?
Yeah, I've been working through them based
Yep.
on.
Not a worry. I'm going to put a fake split in. So down in this section, this is what the company's getting. So either moving it on or like this is everything that's being deducted. to either move up to Remax or stay with the company dollar.
Can I ask one question, just because from where we come in Loft, it'll show us this, but then I have to go to a whole nother screen to see if they've met their cap or not. Is there like a quick check way to see if they've met their ceiling?
Absolutely. So when you're in a fee, if you're not sure, so if this doesn't look quite right and you think that they might have met their cap, if you click on edit and then details, it's going to pull that information for you.
Oh, that is heaven sent. I don't have to create pivot tables in Excel to find out. Oh, this is gonna be great.
Oh yeah, no, this system will track that for you. Now, if this agent is getting a deal because maybe it's, I don't know, their birthday month or that's their mother's house or something, you can edit the fee in the transaction as well. So for those transactions that come up now and then that are kind of weird and wonderful, you can change the fees for just one transaction.
And I see that if you click on each one, like Steve Ace's, it'll show Steve Ace's deductions. If you click Kendall deductions.
Right, so as long as you've got the right agent up here highlighted, then it's going to give you what that individual agent's is down here. And again, if you're looking because maybe Kendall's the one that looked a little funny, you have them highlighted, have the fee highlighted, click edit and details, and you'll see exactly what the fee's trying to do.
Okay.
So I get to end on a high because that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have somebody on our side looking into this whole thing. If you want to reach out to Monica to tell her kind of what you thought you were getting, what it seems like you're getting, that's up to you if you wanted to work this both sides. As soon as I hear anything, I will let you know.
Awesome, thank you. Now, this widget table right here, we can add, I know there's that one report that everyone loves, the agent value report or whatever. Can I add that to this?
I don't think so. I don't think the widgets are really that good.
Okay.
No, it tells you these are all the widgets that you have.
Okay,
So what I would do, and I can make sure that you're signed up for the community before my next meeting, but right here under submit an idea,
okay,
anything you want to see in the program, search it first. If somebody else has asked for it, vote on it. If you can't find it, put it in. Items that get a lot of votes get done. And our programmers have taken things right out of that idea portal and put them in the program. So
Okay.
It's not just us trying to make you feel better. We do actually take things from that list.
Okay.
So I'm going to make sure you're both set up in the community. So you'll get 2 emails. One will say welcome to the community. Ignore that one. The second will say you've requested a password reset. Click on the link in that one and you can set your community up. That's going to be where you can find the help desk. You can find webinars, the idea portal, all of that is in the community. Okay.
all right.
So I hope the orthodontist trip went well.
I didn't, I had to stay home with the kids, but no, she was miserable apparently. So,
Perfect. Just in time for the weekend.
yeah.
And if you haven't set up sessions for next week, I don't think
Yeah, I
there's.
did.
Oh, perfect.
So,
We booked you for September, I think.
So then we will chat again. I will send the recording as soon as possible and I will let you know whenever I get some information on this .loop thing.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, have a good weekend.
Thanks, you too.
All right, bye.
Bye.